The village of Anstey in Hertfordshire. It looks like a beautiful, quiet village, but this one has a fascinating tale to tell. Come with me as we go on the trail of a secret tunnel, a blind fiddler and his dog. Let's begin with a bit of background to Anstey. It's a small village in northeast Hertfordshire with a population of around just 300. The name Anstey derives from the Old English an, meaning narrow, and stig, meaning footpath. Anstey houses the Church of England Church of St George, the earliest parts of which were built in the 12th century. During World War II, the church survived a near miss when a fully loaded American Flying Fortress bomber almost crashed into it. It had failed to become properly airborne after taking off from nearby Nuthampstead and burst into flames after hitting the castle mound behind. All 10 crew on board were killed. Other interesting features of the village include a remarkably preserved water well, an old AA sign bearing the village name, common in most villages before World War II when they were removed, and at the entrance to the churchyard, an old village lock-up, seen here behind the hinged wooden door on the left. The lock-up was a converted portion of the Lich Gate, created in 1831 and still in use as late as 1914. But what drew me most to this village was the tale of the Blind Fiddler. This is the Blind Fiddler pub, named after this local legend. The story goes that a tunnel called the Devil's Hole ran from a chalk pit at nearby Cave Gate to the medieval castle at Anstey. It's said that no one had dared to find out the truth of the story until one night over 200 years ago. A blind fiddler called George was playing his violin, and of course having a few drinks, at the village pub which at that time was known as the Checkers. George declared that he, his fiddle and his dog would venture into the tunnel to find out the truth. I began my journey to where George had met his end. Followed by a large crowd, George walked across the fields to Cave Gate. He vowed he'd follow the tunnel even though the devil himself was said to be at the end of it. As he entered the cave led by his dog, he told the villagers to follow his progress by listening out for the sound of his fiddle. With that, he disappeared into the tunnel. The villagers followed the sound across the fields until they were about halfway to the castle. There, the fiddle rose to the sound of a nightmarish shriek, and then silence. The people rushed back to Cave Gate just in time to see the dog run out. His tail gone and his hair singed, he ran off howling into the darkness and never reappeared. Blind George was also never seen again. Soon afterwards, the entrance to the tunnel was sealed to prevent anyone else from entering. It's said that when snow falls on Anstey, the first to melt always forms a straight line from Cave Gate to the castle.